Assalamu alaikum. You're listening to the Niqabi Diaries series by the pen, the sound of sisters raising their voices with the written word. I'm your host Samar, and thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of By the Pen. Alhamdulillah, we have with us a sister here today to talk about her book. Sister, could you please introduce yourself for the listeners and tell us about your book, inshallah?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Kiran Shah. I am a mum of 4, mashallah, alhamdulillah, and I'm an artist and a life coach as well. And my first book, Pink Shoes and Jilbab, it's a hijab guide, and I think we are here to talk about that.
Absolutely.
Aren't we, Summer?
Absolutely. So how many books have you released?
2 actually. One is the first one was Pink Shoes and Jilbab. The second one is called Who Moved My Heels, but it's a collection of stories from 18 entrepreneurs.
Okay.
That was released this year. Yes, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, let's talk about the Pink Shoes and Jilbab one first. So you said it's a hijab guide. So what exactly inspired you to write this book? And is it a novel? Like, which kind of genre is it?
It's a kind of a self-help book, and of course the first intention was to help little girls with the concept of hijab, because you see, I come from a family where nobody wore hijab. I'm from Pakistan, and it wasn't customary for us to wear hijab. Everybody wore dupattas, and that was fine. And some may or may not cover their head. So when I grew up, I saw in my school, and I was inspired that, okay, there are girls who are wearing hijab. I tried to do it first time, I failed. Then second time, failed again. And the third time, alhamdulillah, I have been wearing the hijab for more than 12 years. So this book is more for the girls who don't have a guidance, like I was. Like there was nobody I could look up to and see how the hijab works. So it's because you see, when the mothers are already doing hijab, it's easier for the girls to do it, because they have a role model.
Of course.
So this book is mostly for the girls who don't have role models, or who struggle, who like the idea, but they're like, no, this is too much of a commitment and too big a step. So this is why I thought of writing the book, because having a role model, it makes life easier. But if somebody does not have it, what do they do? So it's kind of like a step by step. I've kept it very humorous for the keeping the teenagers in mind. But this book can speak to you whatever your age may be. So it's coming from a point of view of you haven't done hijab, and you want to achieve your goals in life wearing the hijab. You want to go and work, you want to go and study, you want to go and play sports. This talk about achieving your dreams. It talks about love life. You know, what does Islam say about it? It talks about different kind of hijab for those who don't know. What is hijab? What is niqab? What is, abaya? What's the difference? Many people don't even know the difference.
Yes.
So this is what it is.
Okay, Allah Barak, it sounds like a really interesting book, and definitely something that's much needed, because like you said, there's a lot of sisters who've grown up without, being practiced to wear the hijab, and that these are a lot of the struggles that sisters go through, because they don't feel they have the confidence to wear it. They're not accustomed to wearing it. So how do you just jump into something? I mean, as a revert myself, I can relate, because obviously I was not raised as Muslim, and wearing the hijab was something that in the beginning, like, I felt just completely alien wearing it, for the first time. So definitely I can understand that, I can relate to that, subhanAllah. So what would you say was your biggest challenge when writing this book?
I think first of all, to start, I never thought I'll write a book this early in my life. I always wanted to, but never thought I would. And then I think to know the minds of the people. So I did a lot of polls, I did a lot of research. I contacted all the teenage girls that I know and all the hijabi girls that had what problems did they have when they started hijab. So I did a lot of research. I think that took a lot of time, and I think that was hard. But once that was done, I kind of had a basic idea of what people are looking for, what's lacking in the market, what guidance do they need, and that helped me write the book.
Okay, alhamdulillah. And who would you say has been your biggest supporter while writing this book?
I think my husband.
Okay. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. So
Alhamdulillah.
what do you say was the main message that you're trying to get across with this book? I know it's a hijab guide, but what kind of message would you like to, give to these young Muslims especially?
I would say, first of all, being non-judgmental. Because, we say if you do hijab, do it properly. And there's a lot of judgment and a lot of emphasis on how to do things properly. And it kind of overwhelms the newcomers. So I think to let them find their own feet, find their own grounding and find their own pace, their own style. It takes time, you don't just start doing it. You first, and most important is hijab is a reflection of your iman. So the book initially talks about iman as well and relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you don't have that, you definitely wouldn't want to wear hijab. Or if you're doing it with and your family is forcing you, it won't, it won't be sustainable. You'll take it off. So this is the main message, the iman and how to take it slow and not to judge other people. And there's one chapter which even talks about why did she take it off. That's the title of the chapter. And it talks about many girls who do take it off. Why did she take it off? Mm-hmm. So I did take it off twice in my life. So I know what the pressure is. I know how lonely you feel when you wear the hijab. Sometimes you don't have the support. Sometimes you don't have the iman, frankly. Mm-hmm. And how to build it up, so I've given tips and basic thing is iman, really. If you don't have it, you don't have anything. So to keeping yourself with like-minded people, keeping yourself with supportive people, and it makes us responsible as well for the people around us who are struggling with hijab. How much are we supporting? Are we judging her for not wearing proper clothes? Are we commenting? You don't know how much she's struggling inside. And if she wore a lipstick on, with the hijab, and you say, "Oh, this is haram," and no, maybe she's struggling. You can tread lightly, and if you're in that kind of a relationship, then maybe you can explore why she's doing what she's doing. So I think acceptance, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts. He knows our hearts. So we should also try to be accepting of the fact that people are different, their struggles are different.
Absolutely, mashallah. Yeah, definitely, I agree. SubhanAllah, it's really definitely a beneficial message that you're putting out there. I like the fact that you have spent time to talk about iman itself, because obviously when our hearts are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we have that, iman, that's what's going to help us to really, adhere to the conditions of the hijab itself, and that takes having some knowledge of the religion. And unfortunately, this is what happens, like when people are raised, especially in Muslim homes, and maybe they don't have that connection themselves. They're practicing because that's just how they've been raised, but they don't have that personal connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's important that we build that ourselves and we encourage our children to have that as well, because that's something I always try to remind my kids. I say to them when they, like, for example, reminding them to do their salah, that they're not doing it for me, they're doing it for themselves, and when we do our salah, for example, we're not doing it because, you know, Allah's going to benefit. It's us that are benefiting from, you know, keeping up with our salah and doing it on time, and, you know, trying to do it the best that we can, because that's the most important thing, subhanAllah. So yes, these reminders are really important to help us to always keep things in perspective, inshallah. So can we talk a little bit about your other book as well, which your latest book, when was that released, you said?
It was in March.
Okay, so just a few months back.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to write it?
So this book is called Who Moved My Heels, and it talks about when you start a business and what are the issues that you have. And again, there are 18 women from all around the world, and they all came together to write the book. They all wrote about their struggles, and you know, women from all different kind of professions. Some were dentists, some were medical professionals, but they started their own business. How did they do it? What were their issues? How did they come about it? So my part was again a humorous one, and I wrote about how I came into entrepreneurship, and yeah, and how do I balance it with the 4 kids, alhamdulillah, and with my own passions and as it goes on.
Alhamdulillah. So what was it that inspired you to write this particular book? And the name as well, actually. The name is very intriguing, Who Moved My Heels. So like, you know, it does have a humorous kind of, you know, air to it. So what inspired you?
So it wasn't just me, it was actually the publisher's idea to have a collection of stories. And the title, they gave it themselves. They invited me to write for it, and I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. I met the women, I mean, who participated in this book. Mashallah, they're, I mean, of course, all of them are not Muslims, all different backgrounds and ethnicities, but I got to learn so much from them. Everybody has so much wisdom to part, and I think we should have the opportunity to learn from everyone whenever we have the chance.
Yes, definitely, mashallah. Okay, alhamdulillah. And so what advice would you give to Muslim women who are thinking about writing a book? They have an idea for a book, but they don't feel confident to maybe write. They feel that they're not a writer, for example, or maybe they feel that, you know, they can't become an author, you know, it's something that's alien to them. What advice would you give them?
I think first of all, to visualization, I would say. I never thought I would write a book so early in my life, and just there was one exercise. I went for this random soul searching workshop, and I remember she said, "What would you want to be?" And I said, "Author." And I've totally forgot about it, but you know, it was back in my mind. It was someday I would write a book, and then the opportunity came, and you know, things materialized. So I think visualization first, then I think dua really helps. And then when you're making dua, of course, side by side, you're making some effort. So start writing bits and pieces of how you want to. I remember I was reading this book, and I was like, if I really liked a book, and I was like, if I write a book, these are the parts I will have in my book, you know, honest and inspirational and open. And there are some parts I was like, no, I don't think I can do this one. I can't be this open. So, you know, when you have it at the back of your mind, you're already working on it. You just need to start jotting down of what do you want to write about? What is that, you know, and especially what is lacking in the market. I think that is also a very important part. And even if something has been written, it hasn't been written by you. That's a quote I read somewhere, and it made a lot of sense. So you just need to start. You know, there are people who appreciate, there are people who applaud for you. You just need to find the right people and just do the work.
Absolutely, absolutely, mashallah. So where can people find your books? Where are they available?
It's available in Amazon around the world. Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It's available on all the big stores
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so we'll inshallah
online.
put the links to your books in the description box so that people can get access to them easily, inshallah. And yeah, alhamdulillah. It's been a pleasure talking to you today, sister.
Jazakallah for inviting me. It's definitely a pleasure talking to you.
Alhamdulillah. Barakallah feekum, sister. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.